National history is built on sweeping headlines, treaties, elections, and wars. But the daily rhythm of a small town, the immediate sensory experiences of a specific community, can vanish the moment the generation that lived them is gone. Vic Campbell understands the fragility of those stories. A Navy veteran of the Vietnam War, he eventually returned to his geographic roots in the hamlet of Chumuckla, Florida, a place defined by quiet roads and heavy Spanish moss. His life had previously taken him far from these fields, involving a career in marketing for chemical enterprises related to agriculture and a long period of corporate employment in New Jersey. To protect the memories of his home, Vic wrote a book called Junction, County Road 197. It was intended as a permanent capsule for the textures of rural life. Within its pages, he described the sensory weight of a Sunday church service in 1961, the scent of wooden pine pews, the warmth of the gas heaters, and the family pressure to wear ties and shine shoes. He also chronicled an equestrian outing to the Escambia River, where he and a friend captured a 5-foot rainbow snake in a mayonnaise jar, only to lose it from a home shortly after. However, because the book went out of print, these hyper-local memories were once again at risk of evaporating. A story only lasts as long as there is a way for people to access it. Since 1995, Vic has transitioned from traditional writing to digital preservation, finding new ways to document the past before it's lost. He created the Me3 TV podcast, operating on the thesis that average-looking people often harbor unusual and interesting events that bring color to the human record. These digital interviews often shift from local nostalgia to intense military history. In one episode, Jim Chester recounts his service aboard a destroyer during the final, chaotic day of the Vietnam War. He describes the high-stakes professionalism of the crews aboard the USS Turner Joy and USS O'Callahan, including the desperate, coordinated efforts to rescue downed pilots from the water. Vic also interviewed Captain Bob Brown, whose life bridged the gap between commanding a destroyer and working in radiation labs studying atomic particles alongside Nobel laureates. These records also preserve the details of survival during the most devastating combat casualties in Navy history, such as the stories of the sailors who lived through the strike on the USS Franklin. By moving these histories to a digital podcast format, Vic creates a permanent, accessible home for records that might otherwise be forgotten in the back of an out-of-print book. While these stories cover the high seas, Vic brings the focus back to the quiet porches of Florida through a group known as the Cruds, the Chumuckla Reprobates Utopian Debate and Discussion Society. This informal circle of veterans and civilians meets to discuss everything from local health issues to world peace, mixing the mundane with the historic. Within this group, Korean War Marine veterans like Dick Miller recalled the emergency brigades sent to Korea when the war seemed nearly lost, sharing memories of lost shipmates and the tragic scale of the conflict. Vic's recordings serve as a vital bridge, placing the trauma of global military service directly within the context of a quiet rural community. This ongoing work eventually brought Vic back to his original project, the out-of-print book Junction, County Road 197. The book is now being revived. It is no longer a static relic of the past, but an evolving document updated with new digital postscripts. By combining the original written text with new audio interviews, Vic demonstrates that the act of recording history is never truly finished. This dual approach logs the capture of a 5-foot snake right alongside the movements of a destroyer fleet. It operates on the idea that even seemingly useless information adds to the total human record. While institutional textbooks focus on the major turning points of civilization, grassroots archivists like Vic are the ones who preserve the texture of how life was actually lived in the gaps between the headlines. It is a reminder that the most significant chapters of history are often found on a quiet porch, waiting for someone to hit record.